So this is the pound yen analysis for Friday the 20th of October. Now let's have a look how prices of how the pound against the yen traded on the 19th. So on the 18th, we did say we were looking for prices to break above the 400 period moving average and hold above it before a continuation of the move to the upside to the 149.78, beyond which we were looking at 150s and 151s. Now prices did trade above the 400 period moving average outlined here in black. We did have a couple of retests, and at this point here with this bullish candle at 5 a.m. It did look like prices were poised to break to the upside for a test of 49.78. That wasn't the case, however. I did mention there was a schism a bit of a schism in the market. So at 8 a.m. we did see heavy selling over that 1 hour period, a bearish engulfing candle, and the selling momentum continued into the 9 a.m. candle, which closed at 10 a.m. So what did we see? Well, we saw prices break below this 48.46, which was a major level, and the 200 period moving average. And yes, we've had prices come down into a bit of a consolidation and retested the confluence area of the 148.46 and the 200 period moving average. Now, from the 48.46 level and the 200 period moving average, we did see further selling in prices all the way back down into this zone here, that we did have a bit of consolidation before we had a break to the upside. So this zone could potentially provide a springboard for prices to retest 148.46. But in light of the most recent sell-off from the 200 period moving average and the 48.46 level at 4 p.m. today, well, yesterday on the 19th, I would expect prices to break it down. A breakdown in prices would potentially see us target 147.35, beneath which the very next level would be all the way down to 146, which I think is extremely unlikely that we'll get all the way down there on the Friday the 20th of October. Instead, a test of 47.35 is pretty attainable, and at the far end of the range, I suppose 200-point move in the pound against the yen is possible. So 146 can be met if there is enough bearish momentum in the market. If, however, we do find support in and around this region here before we retest a major support of 147.35, there would be quite a bit of resistance above. Again, we've mentioned the 204 and the 200 period moving average and the 148.6 level. If successful navigation of which, we'll be looking at this 400 period moving average, which is sloping downwards, currently sitting at 149.03, but let's just say 149, above which we'll be looking for the most recent high in and around a 149.50 level. So let's just have a look at the higher time frame to see how prices have developed. And so on the monthly chart, let's just have a look. On the monthly chart, we did have a break to the upside in the month of September. We did post this bullish engulfing candle. We are still trading well within its range, so we have not even, I don't think we've retraced even 50% of the candle yet. So we're still in somewhat bullish territory on the monthly time frame. So if I go down to the weekly time frame, see how prices have developed on a weekly time frame. Again, similar to the monthly, we've had our lows, we've had higher lows, a series of higher lows, and we are still in bullish territory. We're still operating in the shadow of the candle which opened on the 11th of September, which was quite sizable and bullish. Last week we did have a bullish week, and this week we do look poised to put in a bearish week. Again, it does seem on this weekly time frame that we did have a sell-off from this 400 period moving average here in black. So the 400 period moving average was sitting at 49.29. So if I just have I'm just gonna have a quick little look to see 49.29, and yeah, it's We get all the way up to 149.40, but 11 pips or so above the 400 period moving average on the weekly time frame is as well within the margin to say it was possible where prices reacted. So last week on the we did post a bullish week on the, but as you can see on the chart, let's just zoom in a bit here. So we've got a 400 period moving average outlined in black. So last week we can see we did have some selling off that 400 period moving average, as can be seen by the red crosshairs there. We also did so this week we briefly broke above it, trade all the way up to 149.44 essentially. Well, we did sell off from in and around that 400 period moving average on the weekly time frame. So it did act as a somewhat dynamic resistance for prices. So let's just get scaling back on here, correct? Because that's all in the past now. So overall, in the grand scheme of things, we are still, if you look at the lows, the higher lows, we are still operating within a in bullish territory on the pound against the yen. Further retracement is needed for a shift in momentum on the weekly time frame, although I do think that is coming. So if you have a look at the daily time frame, that's where we are. On a daily time frame, we had the highs up here at 52.85. We've come down, and prices have retraced a bit. The small bodies of these bullish candles were a likely indicator that there was not much buying momentum. The first clue that we got that there were potential sellers waiting in the wings was on the 12th of October, where we did see this large move to the downside all the way down to 147.35, which probably shocked the bulls a bit. The very next day, we did see bearish momentum in the market as the bulls seem to have given up the market to the bears take control of. We did have in this most recent context on the 18th, we did have a pretty sizable bullish day, closing near the highs. We did expect continuation to possibly test 149.78, but that wasn't to be. We've come up to the as I mentioned, the 400 period average on the weekly time frame, and we have seen a bit of a sell-off. So if we were to interpret this as now being, it's difficult to interpret this as being a lower high, as the candle on the 18th is somewhat a bit of an anomaly, in the sense that at present this would look like a we looked poised to put in a higher low, because if this was our low over here and this over this on the 18th, we did look poised to put in a higher low for a continuation to the upside and maintenance of the overall trend to the upside. Now this pretty much this bearish candle which has posted on the 19th possibly invalidates that move in the medium term to the upside until we possibly get another test of what is that level? Another test down here of the 147.35. Of if we do see bullish momentum off that level again, we can trade in light of the overall trend. We can trade in alignment with the trend on the weekly and the monthly time frame, which is to the upside. But in the short term, in the context of the most recent price action, in the fact that the pound has weakened against several other pairs, even though we are in a bullish territory on the higher time frames, I suppose it wouldn't be too misplaced to hold a bearish bias, particularly above 147.35. So that should wrap up the pound yen analysis. So before I go, LCS, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.